Hello everyone, welcome back to KXAN Live. I'm your anchor, Esmeralda Zamora, and today we have our Simple Health segment with KXAN's Jose Torres. Jose, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing now? We're closer to Thanksgiving. The weather's great. Looking forward to the food.
Yes, the holiday smell is in the air. And today we have a topic, it's overcoming addiction and chronic pain. Tell us, who do you have with us here today?
Today we have Eric Bumpus, and you want to hear his story. Here he is. Thank you, Eric, for joining us. You have to hear his story. He lived 5 years with an addiction to painkillers. He overcame those, and what stood out to me, and Eric will tell you here in a second, is that he was going through hell during those 5 years, and he was basically living 1 hour at a time. And Eric, you've gone through so much, and now you're competing in these awesome fitness events. Welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here, be able to tell my story, and hopefully help people that are going through pain, chronic pain, and addiction like I did. Hopefully I can give them some inspiration and some hope that this too shall pass. You can overcome it. That your life is not over.
We have some before and after pictures of you and your journey. You told me you started in 2009, the birth of your first child, because you wanted to be there for your family. Tell us about that.
Yeah, my transformation journey really started in 2010. My son was almost a year old, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I realized I didn't like who I was becoming. I really wanted to be a Superman for my son, and I didn't want him to see the guy that I had become. And so at that point, 2010, I made the promise to myself that I was going to change and become better, and I took on that lifelong journey of health and fitness.
And then things started to change, but not in a good way. If you can tell us about that.
Yeah, I became a really good power lifter, and I was lifting heavy weights over the next 5 years. I was really getting to the top of my craft and becoming good. But like life does, sometimes it knocks you down. And in 2015, I had a lot of health problems. First, I had my wisdom teeth removed, and I had a root canal that made my face really swell and expand with an infection. I got over that, but then a couple months later at a powerlifting event, I herniated a disc and I bulged 2 other discs. I really just kept trying to lift, like powerlifters do. We keep going and keep pushing through the pain, but it kept getting worse and worse. By the end of 2015, I was barely able to walk, and I was in pain all day, every day, and I really started a bad addiction to pain medication. I was on a lot of Percocet and fentanyl patches. The doctors were telling me that they hadn't seen pain levels this high, that I was taking the same doses as cancer patients, but the pain was 24/7. It was all day, every day, and there wasn't much I could do but have a little bit of hope.
Now, tell us, back then when you were dealing with this terrible pain, what was your day-to-day life? Because like you said, you were going through hell. That's how you describe it.
Yeah. At the time I was fortunate enough, I'm a stay-at-home father. I did that for the last 15 years. My wife was working, and we had chosen that somebody was going to stay home with her kids. So I was fortunate enough to be home with my kids. Now, I was a personal trainer. I did online stuff, but luckily I didn't need to be at work every day because I could barely get out of bed some days. And at that point, my day-to-day was taking pain medication and taking care of my kids and doing the best to not allow them to see what kind of pain I was in every day. And I would do my best to take care of them and take them to school and take care of them. But that's basically was my day, was wake up, take pain meds, take my kids to school, and then go home and a lot of days just kind of cry myself to sleep.
Wow. What impact did this have with your children and your wife?
If it wasn't for my wife and kids, I probably wouldn't honestly be alive today. And my best friend David, they took care of me in that time frame. I didn't love myself. I didn't care about myself. They were the rock that got me through those dark days when I was going through hell, when I was in a level 7, 8 pain, and I didn't want to go on. My wife would sit there in bed with me, and she'd tell me, we need you. my kids, I hid a lot of what I was going through. Actually, recently when I was talking about my back problems, my kids came up to me afterwards and they said, Dad, we knew you had back problems, but we never knew how bad they actually were. They were still real young, and I didn't want them to know, the horrific thing that I was going through. And so, they saw brief periods of time, but it's really changed as they've gotten older and they've seen it. But man, without my family, without my friends, I quite honestly am not sure I would be here today. There were many, many times I'd come home from the doctor's office and they told me they wouldn't give me a diagnosis. They didn't know what was going on. There were a lot of days where I thought about taking my life and I didn't want to go, and wasn't sure that I could. So they were definitely an anchor.
Wow. So this took a toll on your mental health.
Absolutely, yeah.
How did that feel, if you can recall those moments?
Yeah, the thing with pain medication is that it warps your sense of reality and it changes everything. When you're on pain meds, you feel really good and you can deal with the pain, but when you come off, which you eventually have to, you're very depressed and very alone. It's a common thing that gets asked, hey, I wish somebody that was going through this would reach out and talk to me. But when you're in that state of depression and suicide, the last thing you want to do is talk to anybody. You're dealing with all these emotions and you just don't. Because more than likely, they don't want to talk about the things that they're going through. So, yeah.
And now, as you share your story with younger men, you're part of a bi-weekly group that meets up and with a focus on fitness, but
Yeah.
you also do a little bit more than that. That's stronger mentally and emotionally.
Well, yeah, eventually I found out that in my spine was an infection from those wisdom teeth, and from the infection that was my face got in my back. And eventually I was able to get over that. I found doctors that knew what they were doing. I started healing. By 2020, I'd really started to change my life. I think 2021 was the first time that I fully got off pain medication and I was fully able to walk again. By 22, 23, I started really working out and getting in the gym. And it was 2023 where I realized that, just getting in the gym wasn't enough. I wanted to be heart healthy. I wanted to really take care of my body in a better way. And I actually got invited to a run club at Squatch Fitness by a local legend. Everybody knows Matt Johnson. He invited me to run club and I went down there, I started running, and I fell in love with Squatch Fitness. So many guys there that were telling their story, like Coach Bray and CJ Finley, overcoming addiction. Those guys really helped me, and they asked me to join Men in the Arena. So I started becoming consistent down there. From 23 to 24, I got to go to Men in the Arena, got to work out with them, got to facilitate workouts. I got to talk to younger men, and that's really something that has become a goal of mine, was to take care of the younger men that are there going through vulnerable periods of time in their life, overcoming those obstacles. And we do it with fitness. We work out and we talk. Sometimes being able to be vulnerable yourself allows other people to be vulnerable and get over those hardships that are going on in their life, because it can be so lonely and so difficult feeling like you're by yourself. And when you know that there are people that have gone through it themselves and they've come out the other side a better person, it gives them hope. And when I was going through in so much pain, that's what you lose. That's the hardest part. It's not the physical pain. It's the loss of hope that you'll ever be normal again. And it's a huge part of what I like to do now with these younger guys. Say, hey, you've got a lot of time in your life, but you don't have time to waste. So use it and use it wisely, because you never know when life's going to throw you a curveball and it's going to become hard. So, Men in the Arena, we're a group of men. We keep each other accountable. We take care of each other. And to me, it's a place like home and it's like family. And I encourage all the men that are out there, find a group. Working out is just one way you can meet up. But if you can work out. Find a group of men that you can be accountable to and that can watch out for you when you're going through that rough period of time in your life.
Community keeps the heart beating. I
Right.
love saying that, because, like you said, you don't know what other people are dealing with if you don't lean on that community, if you don't open up yourself.
That's right.
And that's really hard to do, like you said. But now you
Yeah.
are embracing it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I was powerlifting, I had coaches that were much older, and they did that for me. And now it's my opportunity to do the same for other men, is to be able to be open and say, hey, you know, you can do it too. You can change your life, and it can happen in a heartbeat, one way or the other. But when you have a group of men like that around you that are there to catch you when you fall, that's everything. So you set that up when you can, and you make those relationships. Don't lock yourself away in a room and think that you're going to be okay just using social media. You need to be in front of people. You need to have real friends.
And now, yeah, as we look at these pictures, now you're in a different kind of pain, but this is the pain that you chose to be in. Explain that. Explain some of these photos that were
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it brings me such joy to get to compete and have the ability. I'm grateful every day that I get to walk, and now I get to compete in a sport called High Rocks and ultra marathon racing. The High Rocks actually just happened this last weekend in Dallas, and to say that it's community is like a family would be an understatement. You go there and everybody wants you to be there. Everybody's like family, regardless of what your time is or how good you are. They know how hard this sport is, and you choose that pain. And you know, our bodies are really what's called anti-fragile. When you hurt them, they get stronger. We're not fragile. We need hardship. And for a lot of men out there, even women, we're warriors, and we want to fight. And there's no war for us. And this is a way that we get to fight, and we get to work hard, and we get to be anti-fragile, and we do it with a group of people that love doing the same thing as us.
High Rocks is a fitness competition that is open to the pro levels, but it's also open.
Yeah.
They have an open invitation where anybody, men and women, at any fitness levels, could join. But tell us a little bit about how the competition is set up.
Yeah, the best part of High Rocks is definitely that it's open to everybody. It's got a low barrier of entry. Anybody that can run can, but the sport gets really, really difficult at the highest levels. Basically, it is an 8K run with 8 different events in the middle of each kilometer you run. So you run a kilometer, and then you go to what's called a skier. You do a 1,000-meter skier, and then you run another kilometer. You come back and do a sled push. You run another kilometer, and so on and so on. And you do that for 8 kilometers. Most people take anywhere from an hour to complete the circuit all the way to 2 hours to complete the circuit. It's very difficult. It's unlike any other sport that I've been a part of, and I've done a lot of sports. It really pushes your endurance, and it pushes your limits of pain and tolerance. And honestly, when you get done, you feel accomplished regardless how fast you did it. Because High Rocks is the only sport I think that I've ever done that in the middle of the sport, I felt like quitting. And this last weekend, I actually talked to several competitors that felt exactly the same thing. You battle your mind. You're in this middle of this competitions with this 60-pound weighted bag on your back doing lunges, and you're like, why am I doing this? And you know, we choose that hardship, and you make it through, and you feel accomplished. And to me, that's the best part of High Rocks is feeling accomplished at the end, knowing that you did something that was really, really hard. You know, it's funny story. My kids came with me this last weekend, and they got to watch me do High Rocks, and I would have never guessed the impact it actually had on them immediately. They got done, and see, they do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they go out there and they work hard. But after seeing me and how hard I worked and the camaraderie, they had this this fire in them that they wanted to go back, and they wanted to grapple. They wanted to take this fire that they had got from the event and go and take it into the gym and work just a little bit harder. They're starting to understand what competition really means, and it was so cool because I got to have them there. It's a dream of mine to maybe even one day compete in High Rocks with them, but to see how it impacted their lives just watching was amazing.
As we wrap this up, is there a message you have out there for dads, a message out there for someone who is dealing with any type of addiction? What is your message to them?
Yeah, never give up. This too shall pass. You don't know what tomorrow holds. You know, for me, the story spans 15 years, and a lot of it feels like a distant memory now. Your body can transform in one moment. Your life can change. You know, I do coaching myself, and I see a lot of people change their lives for the better. So my advice is, If you can't do it on your own, it doesn't have to be me, it can be somebody else, but find somebody that keeps you accountable, whether it's a friend, a family, or a coach. Find somebody to be accountable to. Start working out, start taking care of your life. The hardship that we put ourselves in workouts, it translates to everything. When I see fit people, well, the reason I love fitness so much is you can't fake it. You have to do it. There's a lot of things in life that we can fake, but when you see somebody with a body that's being taken care of, or they can run, they can jump, you can't fake that. You only get that through hard work, and it's really what I love about physical activity. And I tell everybody out there, take care of yourself, start taking care of your body. You won't regret it. I guarantee that.
It's just amazing to see that in just a few years you could barely get up out of your chair or out of your bed, and now you're like twisting and moving and running.
That's right.
50K, I mean.
Yeah,
it's just
I did a
incredible.
50K, 30 mile. I impressed myself.
There
I
it
wasn't
is,
sure
yeah.
if I was going to be able to do that. My sons ran over the finish line with me, and man, that filled me with so much joy. I'd say this too: if you're a dad or a mom and you have an opportunity to compete in front of your kids, oh man, do that. Sadness and anger can motivate you, but for me, the joy of having my kids be able to watch me do those things, there's nothing like that. It's the greatest motivator on this planet. When I'm battling through hardship, when I was in that 25th mile out of 30, I thought of what it was going to be like to hold my son's hands when I crossed that finish line. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing like it. So if you're a parent and you have kids that are watching you, do something hard, let them see it. It will change you, will transform you forever.
And quite an impact. You're an inspiration, not just
Thank you.
to families, but to everyone who is listening to the story.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story with us.
If I can help anybody that's out there, with my story, then it is for the better. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
On KXAN.com with this exact story. A friend, a family member is, facing similar situations, and you want, just to express that there is help out there. It's at the bottom of the story. There it is. And you can find it with the story at KXAN.com. And Eric, thank you so much again.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And like Jose just mentioned, if you want to read more on this story, you can go to our website, kxan.com. It should be on the homepage, easy to find, and we'd love to hear what you all have to say as well. So please leave us a comment on this video, and thank you so much for joining us and taking time to be here with us today.
Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, thank you.